Welcome to my channel. Myself, Dr. P.K. Mandal, coming back with another interesting topic, that is marination of meat. In modern meat industry, marination is becoming very popular even in India, and it is already in common practice in developed countries. So this topic I want to cover in two parts. Today in the first part I will discuss about the basic aspects like what is marination, why marination, what is the purpose and benefits, what kind of ingredients are used, what are the different methods of marination, and how different methods has impact on the meat on different aspects like physicochemical aspects, pH, water holding capacity, yield, and also on the textural aspect and sensory quality aspect. All these things we are going to discuss today, and in the part 2 I will be discussing about the microbiological aspect of marination. It has got tremendous impact in food safety and food preservation. So because of the antimicrobial property, it can extend the shelf life and also it can kill all the pathogens. So that will be in the second lecture. So firstly, to introduce about marination, it is about applying certain ingredients to meat before it is cooking. So it's a age-old practice about applying savory substances to increase especially the sensory aspect like flavor, texture and juiciness. However, side by side it has got other benefits about the yield and also about the killing of microbes or in extending the shelf life. So this is a method of soaking meat in various marinade solutions comprising various amounts of salt, spices or organic acids or herbs. So this is a practice quite common in Western countries before cooking, and nowadays it is becoming common in India. However, in Indian context, we use the traditional process of applying some spices and herbs in the form of paste or sometime as a powder. So then it is a traditional cooking method, but now we are thinking about its application in the industrial marketing practices, especially in chicken. As we know, chicken is a highly grown large industry and the major meat in India. So in the production phase before marketing, we can try to have the marination and send to the market. So once again, let us understand what is marination. Marination involves applying, soaking or tumbling of meat with various ingredients to enhance its quality or as performance. So it is known to improve the quality, performance, shelf life and also the food safety of meat. So this marination is having a new impetus in modern meat industry. Nowadays, because of the busy life, people may not have much time to clean the meat and apply the marinade and then go for cooking. So now there is a realization of marketing meat with pre-marination. So we have already done some work in our laboratory in this area, especially for chicken, and several meat industry in India already having this practice of applying the marinade and packing before selling it for the retail market. So there is an urge for commercial practice of marination. Hence we will discuss different aspect of this topic. So further to elaborate about why marination, so as I said, it has been in practice traditionally. Before cooking meat, different ingredients are applied to enhance the flavor or tenderness and sometime to extend the shelf life. But nowadays, because there is a large production of meat, especially in poultry, so it becomes more fascinating to apply the marinade fast, and before sending the market itself we can apply it and pack it and sell in the retail pack for the consumers for better convenience. So this marination also has antimicrobial property and plays important role for preservation and also food safety. So nowadays food safety has become a major concern. That's why this can serve two purposes, both for preservation, for improving the flavor and also for food safety. And further, when we are using different kind of herbs, most of these herbs has got very good health benefits, special health benefits as antioxidants and other health promoting components. So these healthy ingredients or herbs and spices, if we add, it can give additional health benefits also. Here once again we will discuss about the purpose of marinating meat, that is on commercial point of view. The marketing itself we can do, that is first is the convenience. So we can provide more convenience to the consumer. Meat can be easily transported and delivered to the consumers by packing it as a ready to cook product. It is already marinated, just open and cook. Secondly, the variety. So same meat regular, it becomes a boredom. That's why we can create variety. So different kind of marinated product can be created and new variety can be created, and thereby improving the demand or consumption. And the thirdly, the shelf life. The marinated meat, as I already told, it can improve the shelf life because of the presence of many antimicrobial components in the marinade, including salts, spices, herbs or acid. So all these thing has got the preservative effect, and also many of them can kill the pathogen, so that is also the food safety. So these are the three aspects for marinating and its advantage or purpose. Now we will talk about the marinades, that is the ingredients used for marinating. The earlier days there was a practice of using chemical preservatives to improve the shelf life, which is increasingly becoming a threat for human health. There is a awareness with the consumers to avoid such chemical preservatives. So the alternative is the natural ingredients. So either from the plants or plant products, mostly the herbs and spices or their extracts, they can be used as marinade, and also they can be used as preservatives or for killing the pathogen. So most of the spices are from the seeds or fruit, root, bark of different plants, which can enhance the flavor, color, and also they have some tenderizing effect due to the presence of some enzymes or other ingredients. So they can play the role for to some extent tenderization also. So the use of spices is very important in raw or fresh meat because it is mostly susceptible to spoilage. So this marination improves the quality and also protect the meat from pathogens. Now we will talk about the types of marinades. As I told basically about the plant origin or spices and herbs. In addition to that, there are certain other items like acidic. We can classify into three categories: acidic, enzyme and dairy origin. The acidic means the marinades from wine or vinegar, which is commonly used, or many acidic juices from fruits, particularly citrus fruits or from tomato. So this acid often causes a loosening of the bonds between proteins. Inside the myofibrillar proteins, the bonds are loosened due to the acid, but after some time these bonds are formed again and it leads to hardening. So whenever only acidic marinade is used, it can lead to some kind of hardening. The second category is enzymes, which is well known. The plant origin enzymes are used for tenderization also. So it is the common enzymes like papain, bromelain and ficin from papaya, papain from papaya, bromelain from pineapple and ficin from fig. So these enzymes are very well known to use for tenderization purpose. They are the plant origin proteolytic enzymes. So they can also be used as marinade so that meat becomes tender also. So these natural juices in the meat flow out and flow in, and that becomes an effective marination and it improves the juiciness also. The third category is the dairy origin. Here the fresh curd or yogurt is most commonly used, which is having mild acidity. So this curd will have calcium and indirectly it helps in tenderization also, like calcium activated sarcoplasmic factors which play important role in the aging process, as we all know. So this also helps in breakdown of proteins and tenderization. Here once again we can see the common ingredients used in marination. The first category is condiments and spices, where large amount of common spices or condiments used in the cooking process. It varies with the different culture and the countries. Then there are certain natural antioxidants present in the plant and plant products. They can also be used. There is acid marinades, as I have already discussed earlier. There is honey commonly used for marination. Yogurt, as I have already mentioned. Beer and wine is also used for marination, and lemon juice or powder or other citrus fruits and their juice. So these are the common ingredients used for marination. Here is once again the different category of ingredients commonly used for marination. Like oil category, oil is often used in the marination, olive or peanut, sesame, etc., coconut oil. Then chili peppers, different kind of chilies are used either as powder or after roasting made into powder or smoking. Several condiments, as I mentioned, the ketchup, that is tomato, mustard, and different other sauce. Then wine, red, white or sake. The vinegar, different kind of vinegar, white wine, all these things are used. Then dairy origin, buttermilk and yogurt. Then fruits, several fruits are used, as I already mentioned, mostly the citrus origin. And then country wise, in Asian region, the ginger, lemongrass, tamarind is used. Mexican region, there is cilantro, citrus and chilies. India, most common is the cardamom and ginger, turmeric and chilies. In Japanese region, soy sauce, sake, sugar, ginger. And in the Peruvian region, lime, lemon, cilantro, onion. So these are the different kind of natural ingredients used in different region. Now we will discuss about common methods of marination. There are three ways: wet marination, wet rubbing and dry marination. So wet marination means it is keeping the meat in a liquid, that is by immersing, and it is mainly to tenderize and prevent the spoilage. So wet marinating is done for a short period of time and it should be kept in refrigerator. The second method is the wet rubbing. This is done by making a paste by using different herbs and spices and other ingredients. With oil or other liquid, a paste is prepared and that paste is applied over the meat. And the third method is the dry marination. Here the dried powders are used, dried herbs and spices and many other ingredients along with salt. That dry powder is applied over the surface. In this case, salt also plays an important role for breaking the proteins and giving the better flavor also. Now we will talk about the technical or commercial marination and their comparison, how it affects the quality of meat, especially the physicochemical quality and the sensory quality. So most of the meat like beef, pork, poultry are commonly marinated using certain techniques. Number one is the tumbler. Tumbler is a container where the meat is put along with the liquid and tightly closed, and there will be some kind of pedals which continuously have a massaging effect, and that helps in marination. So this is a accelerated extraction of muscle proteins and have lot of other advantages. The second way is the tenderizer. Here to increase the muscle tenderness, some kind of blades are used with a large number of puncturing, and after that it goes for marination. So there will be very quick absorption of the marinades. The third method is injector. So here the marinade is injected inside the muscle, so that helps in a kind of curing and also putting the marinade inside the muscle. And the common practice is the immersion method, where the meat is simply dipped in the marinade solution. So here the marinade is more liquid and fluidy. In a water or in the vinegar or in the yogurt, all the ingredients are mixed, so it will be more watery and liquid, and then meat will be dipped inside this for marination, which is called immersion marination. Now we will have a comparative discussion about the effect of marination on quality of meat, especially the physicochemical quality and the sensory quality. So the parameters like pH, water holding capacity, color, texture, the marinating yield, cooking yield and sensory quality. On this quality, how the methods of marination like tumbling, the injecting and the tenderizing method and immersion method has a different impact. Based on different scientific studies, we will have a comparative discussion. The effect of marination on pH. First of all, the pH values of marinated uncooked chicken breast range from 6 to 6.09, whereas after cooking it increases to 6.16 to 6.31. So in general, marination leads to increase in pH, and that is a good, which will improve the water holding capacity also. So this increase depends on two things. One is the method of marination, another is the holding time or time of marination. These two factors plays important role, and this rise of pH in marinated meat samples may be due to the presence of salt and phosphate in the marinade mixture. So in general, salt and phosphate is added in the marinade. How this salt act? It has got chloride ions which bind to protein filaments and increase the ionic charge, and because of this there will be a repulsive force inside the muscle fiber, and this repulsive force increases the pH of meat. In continuation about the effect of marination on pH, the tumbling method of marination stimulates the activity of various proteolytic enzymes. So because of the tumbling, there is a continuous massaging effect. It stimulates the proteolytic activity of enzymes, and these proteolytic enzymes are known to facilitate the protein degradation or breakdown, and that further helps in increasing the pH of meat. So in case of tumbling, it is more effective. Further, the time is important. About 4 to 12 hours allow more marinade solution to penetrate into the meat, resulting in increased pH. So more time will help in more penetration of marinades inside muscle protein and resulting in more increase in pH, which is a good effect or desirable. Now we will talk about the effect of marination on texture and tenderness. As we all know, tenderness is one of the most important quality aspect for meat, particularly for sensory or eating quality. So it denotes about the easiness of chewing and swallowing. If we can chew the meat easily and swallow easily, that means it's a tender meat. So this tenderness is indicated or measured by texture. So texture is used to describe meat tenderness and measured by different machines. One of the common machine is Werner Brajler shearing force. So this is also expressed as shear force value. So we need to take meat sample and the machine will be allowed to cut through it, and how much force is required, that is measured. If the force taken more means it is tough texture and less tender. If the force is less, that means it is more tender. Now marination improve the meat quality by decreasing the shear force value and enhancing the meat tenderness. So in general, marination causes softness or tenderness of meat and reduces the shear force value. In case of tumbling of marinated meat, is known to lower the shear force value by loosening the muscle structure, and also it can destroy the connections between myofibrils and collagen. So myofibrils and collagens are the important factor for toughness of meat. So due to the marination and also by tumbling, it helps in destroying the connections in the myofibrils and collagen, and thereby it makes it more tender and reduces the shear force value. In continuation about the effect of marination on texture and tenderness. So in general, low shear force value from tumbling marination had increased the pH and low cooking loss and low drip loss. So in case of tumbling marination, the research has reported this, that pH will increase, so the cooking loss will be less and drip loss will be less. In case of tumbling method, soluble proteins get extracted due to the massaging effect, and thereby after cooking it leads to formation of gel structures or gel rigid microstructure that helps in retaining more water and fat, and thereby indirectly it gives a better tenderness and juiciness. So that's the effect of tumbling. Whereas in case of tenderized method of marination, as I mentioned earlier, first the large number of knives are pierced and then it goes for marination. So there the shear force value is very low, and that is because of the use of multiple knives. So this is comparatively more tender than tumbled and injected method. I told three method. One is tenderization, one is tumbling, another is injection. So in case of tenderization, large number of knives are piercing, then it goes for marination. So that has got lowest shear force value or more tenderizing effect than tumbling and injection method. Now we will discuss about the effect on water holding capacity, the marination methods and the effect on water holding capacity. As we all know, water holding capacity is a very important parameter for meat quality, and it is directly related to pH. When the pH is higher, the water holding capacity becomes better, and when the water holding capacity is better, the meat will have better yield and less cooking loss and better juiciness. So increase in water holding capacity results in the reduction in cooking loss, increase in tenderness and juiciness. Now how it happens? The loosening of microstructure of muscle fibers and increase in the pH with the extraction of salt soluble proteins increase the water holding capacity. So marination helps in breakdown of proteins and microstructure loosening, leading to higher pH, and that higher pH leads to more ionization of proteins and better water hydrogen bonding, and leading to higher water holding capacity. When the water holding capacity is high, the cooking loss will be less or cooking yield will be more, drip loss will be less, and the juiciness will be more. Now in continuation about the effect of marination on water holding capacity. In case of mechanical tumbling, it supports the marinade effects and improve the water holding capacity and cooking yield, as I mentioned already, and it is good for better juiciness and better cooking yield. Whereas in case of injection method, marinade mixture is directly inserted into the meat and having a lower water holding capacity and cooking yield. So injection method of marination is not so good in this case due to lower water holding capacity and cooking yield. In addition, the injection resulted in excessive water loss due to holes created in meat surface during the injection process. Sometimes the multiple injector is used and it creates large number of holes through which there is a more water loss. So it is again not a good advantage. Now we will see the effect of marination on color. So before we go, let us once again recapitulate about the meat color and its background. So myoglobin is the muscle pigment which plays important role for the color. That is a heme pigment or heme protein present in sarcoplasm. Primarily it is responsible for meat color, and the chemistry of myoglobin is species specific, and so many other environmental factors plays important role for actual color. So myoglobin can be present in different state of the ion. The state of the ion or chemical state of the ion and the binding with the oxygen or exposure to oxygen varies the color of meat. So it can be in three different conditions. Normally the myoglobin present in muscle without any oxygen, that is called normal myoglobin, which will not have that much bright color. But this myoglobin, when binds with oxygen, it forms oxymyoglobin, but ion remains in reduced form. So that is the best bright color of meat in presence of oxygen, formation of oxymyoglobin, and we call it bloom. Whereas when the myoglobin get oxidized, then it becomes matte myoglobin, and ion here becomes in the oxidized state or ferric state, then it becomes dull in color. So these are the three aspects of color of myoglobin which we will see further. Now we will see the effect of marination on color. So among the three methods, immersion, tumbling and injection, the immersion method of marination is more effective in increasing the surface meat color. The saturation of meat surface with the marinade mixture during immersion process may lead to the development of high color intensity. So the immersion method provides the best color on the surface of meat, whereas the lower color of injection method was mainly due to direct insertion of marinade inside the meat during injection process. So in case of injection process, the marinade goes directly inside, so the surface effect is less, so the surface color is also less. Now we will discuss about the uptake of marinade. So how much marinade is taken inside the meat. So the uptake of marinade calculated by obtaining the difference between weights of the meat before the marination and weight after marination. So marinating yield sometime it is called, and it is calculated by the marinated weight and divided by the initial weight into 100. So that gives the marinating yield percent. So it will be always more than the original weight. The driving force of the marinade into the meat is mainly the pressure gradient. So when the pressure gradient becomes zero or the surface of the meat is fully saturated with the marinade, the uptake of the marinade will be reduced. So once the surface gets saturated, it will not be able to take up the marinade. So then it will be reduced. Further uptake of marination will be reduced. Now if we compare the uptake of marinade between methods of marination. So in case of injection, the marinade is inserted into the meat by force, by penetrating into the meat, where a definite quantity of marinade is moved, resulting in a higher marinade uptake. So in case of injection method, the marinade is directly injected inside the muscle, so uptake is higher. In case of tumbling method, the massaging effect forces water to move into the muscle, so it is also comparatively higher. Whereas uptake of marinade in immersion method is largely affected by the surface area and the dipping time. So how much is the surface and how much time is taken, that depends on the uptake. So uptake will be always less in case of immersion method in comparison to massaging or injection method. So now we will see the effect of marination on cooking yield. So in case of tumbling method, it gives a higher cooking yield because the massaging effects leads to extraction of myofibrillar protein into the meat surface. So during the tumbling, there is a massaging effect which causes extraction of myofibrillar protein, which are salt soluble protein, and that comes to the surface. Now that has an advantage for meat yield. How? The extracted muscle proteins are known to provide two important functions. Firstly, the coagulation when the meat is subjected to heat. Once the proteins are extracted and when it is subjected to heat, it leads to coagulation. And the second effect is the acting as a sealer when the meat is cooked. The extracted protein act as a sealer when the meat is cooked, and this sealing effect facilitates the moisture retention inside the meat and thereby increases the cooking yield. So cooking yield is more due to the tumbling because it extracts the proteins, particularly the salt soluble proteins. Now we will see the effect of marination on sensory quality. Firstly, the prolonged holding time is known to cause more damage to the microstructure of the meat, resulting poor sensory properties. So if we hold the meat long under marination, there can be more damage to the microstructure. It may make the meat soft, but the sensory quality will be affected. So overall acceptability, that is the reflection of overall sensory quality, is highest in meat hold for 8 hours after injecting marinade into the meat. If we go by injection and hold it for 8 hours, that gives the best overall acceptability. There is a tenderizing method of marination as I told earlier, and that is more effective in enhancing the tenderness of meat compared to tumbling and injection. So if we go by tenderness, then the tenderizing method, that is the large number of multiple knife piercing the meat, and then it goes for marination. So in that case, this is best for tenderness in comparison to tumbling and injection method of marination. So in continuation about the marination and sensory quality, in case of chicken meat, the studies reported that the chicken meat marinated by immersion method has the best effect on the physicochemical parameters. So physicochemical parameters are best when we go by immersion method. But the sensory panelists preferred meat marinated by injection method. So sensory quality point of view, injection method is best, whereas physicochemical parameters, the immersion method is the best. So here is the sensory preference about the different methods of marination. Best is injection method, next is immersion method, and further next is tenderizing method or tumbling method. So these are the four methods I told we are going to have a comparative discussion. So now we are at the end of today's lecture. In this topic today we have discussed the marination of meat. The first part is more about the basics of marination and the methods and ingredients and the method of marination, how it affects the marination quality. So we have discussed about the basics aspect about what is marination, what is the advantage and purpose, and what are the ingredients, and then the several methods, the common method and the modern method. In the modern method we had a details comparative discussion about the tumbling, the tenderizing and the penetration and immersion method, and from this we can conclude some important points. Firstly, the marination enhance the color, flavor, texture, tenderness and sensory quality of meat irrespective of method of marination. Secondly, it improves the physicochemical properties of meat. Thirdly, because the modern method we are insisting on the natural ingredients like spices, herbs and plant products, all of them are having antioxidant and antibacterial or antimicrobial property, so they help in improving the shelf life and also the safety of meat. Further, marination helps in birth of variety of new products, so it gives a new variety, so there will be more demand and more acceptance of the product. And lastly, it creates the convenience in meat storage and usability and marketing. So this is how briefly I have discussed today. We will be back with another topic about marination, that is the especially on microbial aspect, how it plays an important role in preservation and increasing the shelf life, and it can kill large number of pathogens. So some of those details we will discuss there.